Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on Season 2, Episode 1 of Seth MacFarlane's The Orville, entitled Jaloja. And, wow, man, this was really off to a snail's pace for the opening of the second season. It was great, don't get me wrong, to get refamiliarized with the characters and you know, the universe and everything like that, and to see the show come back. But I mean, what I've heard about, you know, Star Trek the Motion Picture being slow and meandering and taking its time, a la 2001, you know, that kind of thing, that's largely what this episode felt like. I mean, it was just really slow all the way through. There was nothing really gangbusters going on, and I did find myself getting somewhat bored from time to time. I mean, from right off the bat, I was somewhat, you know, displaced, if you will, with the whole Captain and Kelly conversation, and I still love you, and like, why the hell is she on the goddamn ship? Why doesn't she just get the hell off the ship? She knows the problem she's causing with the Captain, with Ed, and it's just like, okay, well, I guess they're supposed to be sophisticated adults, mature adults and everything like that, but I mean, as per the comedy in this series, we see that it's kind of anything but that, you know. Not that I didn't like the guy that Kelly is now shacked up with, Cassius, the teacher. I think, you know, the actor's great. I like his performance. I like the character, and it's interesting, I guess, to a point. But just the whole episode, it's like every single character had their own domestic little squabble that was unfolding. The funniest of which was Gordon's trying to approach the new dark matter cartographer or whatever it was, and then of course toward the end we have the little, you know, the little sideways kick of her approaching the Captain, and that's interesting because from the word go, as soon as Alara introduces her to the Captain at the start of the episode, my first impression was, oh, since Ed and Kelly are on the rocks, this is going to be his new potential romantic interest in the show, you know, that kind of thing. And that didn't play out until literally the last minute of the episode when she makes an approach toward him, especially after all the time you know, Gordon spent trying to enlist favors, trying to enlist help as to how he should approach her, the jacket with all the zippers and everything like that. That one moment where he's like, you know, right toward the end of the episode, he's going to approach her, and then he does a beeline right around her and comes right back. He's like, I can't do it. After all of the training and trying to get into the mindset of approaching her, that made me laugh out loud. And there were little moments like that spread all throughout. Alara with, you know, whatever his name was, bulbous head, we'll call him, you know, the alien, as having been set up by Bortus. Again, it was just like mostly boring, the interpersonal interconnectivity they were trying to explore between all these characters, but there were little moments here and there when he says he you know, had written a poem, and she's like, oh, poetry, you know, like there were little moments that did make me sort of guffaw a little bit, chuckle a little bit, but by and large, it was mostly just annoying and drolling. Like, you know, I wanted them to get to something. I know that the entire episode is effectively pointed toward Bortus is taking a piss. And it's amazing because everything else that was happening throughout the episode, almost everything else, kept me really wanting to get to that. I didn't more want to see an alien take a piss than having to sit through all of these little domestic scenes and sequences and everything like that. These are aspects that I did say during season 1 were some of the more excelling aspects to the writing of the episodes and everything. I had a lot of qualms with some of the contemporary comedy, and I had said the strong suit was very much the drama that was unfolding between the characters themselves, you know, time and time again. And I think the problem is they decided to focus the entire episode on everybody within that sort of framework, whereas the reason it was such a strong suit in the first season, at least I believe, is because it was much more tempered, you know. It was usually the B or C plot in a given episode where the A plot would be investigating a planet or an alien invasion or whatever it was, you know, things like that. These would be scenes that would be interspersed in between whatever that A plot was. So it wasn't, you know, an entire episode dedicated to just that domestic interpersonal interconnectivity, that playing back and forth. And, coming back for a second season, and that's the whole episode. I mean, they stave off Bortus's having to do his annual piss to the last minute. And like I say, this is something I had found myself wanting more and more and more to see, because it was just like, come on, let's get to something. We're just sitting around and people are just talking. And I think a large chunk of it is, for me, there was a disingenuousness to it. I didn't feel like it was as grounded as some of the more domestic, dramatic aspects of the first season was. And that could be, subject to the fact that it was so tempered, that it wasn't the focus of an entire episode, that it was always falling in line with whatever the A plot was, that kind of scenario. But for me, like, there were moments in this episode that were humanizing and down to earth and felt genuine, but for the most part, the rest of it did not. It just felt like play acting. Again, calling back to the very first scene between Ed and Kelly, where he's trying to express that he is still in love with her. He's still going down and having drinks at what would be on the Enterprise 10 forward, the lounge or whatever, because he's miserable and he wants to be with her, and he wants to know if she cares for him the way he does for her, and all this kind of stuff. And it was kind of getting annoying. I love Casablanca, but that you must remember this song, like, playing time and time again throughout the episode, it was starting to become grating, as if it was trying to be more highbrow drama than what actually was airing on the TV screen at the time, at least per my own judgment and tastes and preferences. So, like, again, that first scene, it just felt like play acting. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel, engrossing in any way. It was just gross. It was like, okay, let's just get beyond this, And then when I find out, oh, they're going to, have this go the whole episode. This is the whole episode, effectively. And then the Alara stuff. And then, of course, the doctor and her son having to deal with the fact that he's getting in with a bad kid, and you can tell from right off the bat the kid's bad news. And then they kind of try to throw in a left turn with, the bad kid's parents thinking he is God's gift to creation and all this kind of stuff. And it takes, of course, Isaac to prove that the doctor's son was innocent, effectively, was not the one instigating things by going and getting the vodka and whatever, hacking the system. And that the bad kid had hacked his own grades and all this kind of stuff. It's like, that was probably the most interesting element of the episode. But then at the end, the floor kind of drops out from under me, because the whole time I'm wondering why the doctor's eldest son is being so rebellious. And he keeps making these sort of side glances at Isaac, the robot. Like, is it, I'm speculating in my mind as I'm watching it, is it that he's like, he thinks his mom is, she's found a new daddy, Robo-Daddy, and he doesn't want Robo-Daddy kind of thing. She's spending so much time with Isaac. Isaac's there all the time. Whenever he comes home, he's there. He's teaching the younger son Beethoven and things like that. And I started to think, oh, maybe the eldest son is developing this rebellious nature because he doesn't like that mommy has sided with this robot, somebody he disapproves of, somebody he's not comfortable around. But then at the end, the kid's just like, thanks, man. You were there for me. You got me off, They were trying to put the blame on me, and my innocence, came to the fore because of your logical, tactical, sort of informational, frame of mind, frame of reference, your robotic essence. And I'm just like kind of smacked upside the head. I was like, oh, well, that went nowhere. That didn't go anywhere, like toward what I thought it was going to, which I think would have been far more interesting. And that's the thing. I think a lot of the stuff in this episode, it just wasn't interesting to me. Again, there were moments that were somewhat comical that did make me chuckle a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I was just shy of holding my head and wishing I could fast forward the episode, watch it in like twice the speed, and so not the strongest opening for second season, per my own tastes, per my own one man's opinion. I can only hope that it goes up from here. It improves from here. We have more things going on, not necessarily action, but just more things to engage. and less focus on splattering an entire episode on just giving everybody something domestic to do, dramatic to do and deal with. You know, have that be tempered with an A plot that is a little bit more exciting, a little bit more engaging, and you know, like for this show, my largest complaint with season one, as I said, was the contemporary sort of comedy. I was even kind of half begging for more of that, you know, because it was just not engaging me, this first episode of season two. But I am glad the show is back. I do like the characters. The more Alara we can get on screen, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, that's just where I leave it. That's the takeaway I have from the debut of season two. What could have been. It could have been so much better. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you like the Orville, if you watched this episode, what you thought of it, love it or hate it, let me know in the comments below. And at this juncture, I'd like to ask you, if you enjoyed this video and would like to support my channel, please have a look at my PayPal contribution link posted both in the description as well as the comments below, where you can explore options very much akin to Patreon, setting up a monthly contribution, a one-time only kind of thing. You can send me a personal message alongside a contribution, requesting topics I may discuss in the future, ask for shout-outs and other things along those lines, and it would just be very much appreciated. 2 thumbs up from me, anything you saw fit to send my way. And so yeah, otherwise, I guess I'll see you for the next one, and that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.